All right, and we're live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, just sitting here drinking my morning coffee, looking sexy as hell as usual. I sit down, wake up with my lovely people. Let's drop the super chat stuff. That super chat goal going. And give me a second here to get everything started. So, wait for a few people to get in here. I run these a couple hours usually. I don't have any trouble doing that, but I work on other things a little bit while we do that. I do have like four clients I've got to update later today. I obviously don't do client update sheets while I'm in these, but I will answer client messages as needed. All right. We will definitely do that as needed. We'll make a few posts and stuff while we're in here, while we wait for everyone to get in, get our regular crew in, get our conversations going. I have about 10 regulars who run through in and out, 10 to 12 through the different coffee chats. And then new people who come in all the time. But hit that like button as soon as you guys get in here, please. All right. Put the Amazon wish list at the top. Hold up, guys. We'll make some other posts real quick. All right. And we'll check back with everybody. It's just for my profile. I got to make some fitness posts this morning too. I got to get some good topics going. Might see if we get ideas in here. What do you guys think of a good fun fitness status? I'm getting more trolling. I'd be positive and encouraging, but I get a little trolly too also. I like to have fun with it. All right. You got to be fun. Have fun with it. All right. Got a few working out. Man. Hello, it's Syke. You're the first one to message this morning. How you doing? First time I've been the first in here. Here you go. So I made my funny post. Syke, you'll appreciate this stuff. I'm doing good. I'm waking up. I'm not fully awake yet. This is my first cut. I made a post joking the other day. I've made a lot of jokes about the dad bod thing and these reviews. And I kind of joke with people that when women in those surveys said they liked a dad bod, they didn't mean a fat guy with an enormous belly. What they usually meant was almost the look of an off-season bodybuilder, meaning that's been my joke, that they meant a guy who's got some muscle who's just not ripped. Right? That's generally what they meant. They're like, at least I know he's not going to be in the mirror and starving himself. So yeah, they mean Henry Cavill. So the picture I've got in the thumbnail was at the end of my workout the other day, and I put it up and said, "What's up, guys? Over here rocking my dad bod." And then some of the regular dudes chimed in, "That's not a dad bod," But I've done some posts on that, and it's funny, a lot of the women agreed. And so guys have misinterpreted the dad bod thing. He said, "How you doing? Hopefully no more tornadoes." Oh, Dad, quit being jelly. You're mad jelly, bro. But it's funny because they have this idea, and what they meant was, and it's like these guys are like, "Oh, women don't want men who have any muscle." No, women like men who are muscular and strong. They're just not concerned with being shredded, right? They don't want a dude who's hogging mirror space with them, right? That's ultimately what it came down to. Um, you know, they don't want the dude who is so insanely strict on his diet that they're uncomfortable eating in front of him. You know. So yeah, we did. It was only one turn. Guys, I've survived way worse than that. It was one little tornado. Didn't even get that close. The hurricanes have been way worse. Remember that hurricane over a year ago? We lost power for 6 days straight. We had no electricity for miles. That was an enormous fight with Centerpoint because that was a infrastructure issue, and they have a contract with the state. So, No, we're good, guys. We're good. It feels really hot in here this morning. I didn't even turn my AC yet. Why do I feel hot? It's cold outside. Cool. Well, I don't know. Probably had a lot of carbs last night. Yeah, we're good. How are you guys doing? Again, I am not fully awake. It's 62 Fahrenheit. I would have to convert it to Celsius. They don't actually list that in the US anywhere. You have to convert it. So just my little thing is 62 outside. I've got it at 73 in the house right now, but it's obviously not blowing any air conditioning. I've got my ceiling fan on. I don't know. I just feel hot. Like, and I don't mean, yeah, like I don't mean as in, yo, I'm hot. What's up, y'all? No, I mean like temperature. It's hot in here. I don't know, guys. Yeah, but people will argue that stuff. But I think it's the guys who don't get it. Like that's what blows my mind is that they've lost the translation there. Um, they're literally thinking that means that women just want fat, sloppy dudes, and that's what they're all attracted to in the surveys. It's like that's not what they meant at all. It's just crazy. We use the imperial system. We call it freedom units, Dad. That would be the term. They're freedom units. All right. All right. Yeah, but you guys are in the summertime, right? This is wintertime here. Like a lot of parts of the US already have, half a meter of snow on the ground. We don't really get snow here. So I think you guys relate to in Australia. We don't get snow where I live. I mean occasionally. I don't say never, about every 4 years. And then we had that big freeze a few years ago where we had it froze in the Houston area for 5 days straight. That has never happened ever in recorded history. So it had snow that came down and powdered, and it stayed on the ground for 5 days. There was like a light dusting. Yeah. 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 So everyone in here understands that. Usually my British followers come in and they have no comprehension. So you guys probably have comparable weather to what we have, just reverse of the hemispheres. Oh man. Of course, I get that on my post too. It's occasionally funny. People on the Facebook, right? They'll chime in and they'll be like, "Oh, what do you know? At least you can lift heavy weights. You're just a dumb guy who lifts weights." And it's like, oh gosh. Uh, I guess until we want to discuss details of the Fermor paradox or something like that. I'm reasonably well read for a big dumb meathead. Yeah. Reasonably well read. I just find it interesting when haters come through and try to diagnose my mental illness. That's always fun. I get accused of everything from being on the spectrum to schizophrenic. And the reality, I have two clinical diagnoses. I have PTSD, and then I have chronic depression, which is asymptomatic at the moment. So those are my mental illness. I'm a little on the spectrum. I mean, I have friends. One of my bros, his wife is really on the spectrum. So I mean, I actually have a number of autistic people in my life. So out of my circle, like one of my close bros, his wife is on the spectrum. Um, I mean, she has her way of doing stuff when they're in your house. You can't touch some of her stuff. Like, don't touch her pictures or don't touch anything. Um, so on. And once you realize and understand it, her facial expressions don't match, everything's good. Like, once you get through that, we're good, man. Um, one of my other bros, his daughter, she is I'm like 1%, barely noticeable. Yeah, that checks out. But well, she has that flat effect with her face, and doesn't know how to end conversations. You have to tell her specifically the conversation is over, and you can move on to the other people what you're trying to do. When she takes you to the side to talk to you, once you get to these minor nuances, everything's good. No, everyone is not technically. Um, no, not everyone. I mean, that's a whole topic of conversation now of concerns that it really shouldn't be listed as one category. That it really shouldn't be diagnosed as one condition because it really isn't. And when you meet people who are very high functioning and then they're compared to other people, it's like this is clearly not the same condition. Um, but that's a whole topic of conversation, right? It really should be broken up into completely different conditions and not be lumped into one. Particularly higher functioning versus lower functioning. All right. So what else do you guys have going on? We got regulars in here. I don't even know what that is. Dad in the voice. I don't listen to a lot anymore. I read things, but I'm also a speed reader. And people get angry when I say that. They're like, oh, like no, everyone who knows me knows I speed read my whole family, and I'm not the only one who does it. So my dad, my sister, they all do the same thing. Like even when I was growing up, my dad would burn through a novel every afternoon, like just sitting down after work. Um, but no, I don't read it left to right. I read it straight down the page. I figured this out when I was like 12 years old. So if you don't reset your eyes, you can read faster. And I'm slightly dyslexic, so I just rearrange the words at the end of the page. So you just scan straight and then scan straight down the next page. Flip the page. But as far as listening to stuff like that, keep in mind I do have still some hearing issues. And my left eardrum is, I have a bone and skin tympanoplasty in my left ear. Yeah, I almost read it as one word, but don't think of it that way. Think of it as just an information dump. So you just read, scan, and then you resort it at the end. When you get to the end of the page, your brain will reassemble it in order. So it's just don't do the left to right. You just scan. Pull everything back far enough that you can see the whole line without the eye shift. Then you scan. So I used to read the textbook for college classes at the first week of class. Just read the whole textbook and then peek back through as necessary. And yes, I know my Stanford name, but I'm not going to say it because haters jump up and they're like, "Oh, the scars are delusional." It's like I don't even say what it is. It's third standard deviation. Yeah. I'm gonna get some more coffee. I do cognitive assessments in her work. Okay. Yeah. So that's how I know so much about fitness, by the way. I've read everything. I've literally read everything. Every book by every strength coach probably you've ever heard of, I've read everything they've written at one time or another. But I think it's like my friend Abby, coach him off and on. He kind of said, that's what's crazy with what you do. He goes, you take all these topics and you distill them down into practical applications. So you take information like that, and information is useless like that until you can apply it. And then you apply it very practically. And really at the end of the day, strength training itself is fairly simplistic from a programming end. That's why guys like Dan John, they write these simple programs and still build elite athletes. The same with me. I mean, I get clients who squat, 270, 280 kg on camera without reps with fairly simple programming. The only complexity on a programming and coaching end is not the training end. Like you can be functioning at a very low level and still come up with decent programming. It's not difficult. The difficulty is in managing fatigue, right? And understanding stress recovery adaptation plotted over time. Those are the only complexity. Programming itself, I could get any one of you super strong and jacked on 5 or 6 exercises, and you'd be the biggest, strongest person in the room, given enough time. We don't need this complexity, and the data simply doesn't support it. I am not a fan of Dr. Brad Schoenfeld. Like, to me, he's a total quack. And it's very clear he has an agenda to do stuff and sell books and sell certain ideas. He programs for the lazy, and he knows that sells. He knows that sells because what you find in the evidence-based circles, you find guys who, quite frankly, are just lazy, and they're looking for biohacks. And so if you can come up with ideas like, we just don't have to train that hard, we can just do lots of volume, and you can sell them on this stuff, man, is that marketable? And all the research in those circles are biased towards it. So it creates quite a conundrum in terms of research because you have conflicting data from these different schools of thought. So exercise science is not a real science. Let's just call it like it is. It's not. People who are involved in harder sciences, biology, chemistry, look at it and laugh. These studies are not, they wouldn't fly in any other field. Just the quality of research. And it's not necessarily the researcher's fault. It's lack of talent. It's lack of funding. It's lack of test subjects. So if we're really going to have really serious studies on hypertrophy, man, we have like no viewers now. We're going to do really serious studies on say hypertrophy in anyone but novice lifters. You can't do it. How are you going to find 1,000 trained lifters to follow adjust their program and to be broken into groups for 2 years straight? Not only you'll never find the test subjects, for one, you'll never have adherence. Number two, what would the funding be for something like that? And then to have double blind data collection. So the researchers, you'd have to double blind all of that. There's no money in that. There's no one who has the money to pay for this who would be willing to fund it. Who cares? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, is it really that difficult to get someone big? Like, do we really not know the variables to get somebody really, really big? Do we not know how to do it? Have we not figured out how to do this already as a species? As a collective lifting world? Do we know how to get people jacked? Define recover quicker. Are you experiencing a loss of performance workout to workout? Or are you simply having DOMS? Because DOMS is not always indicative of lack of recovery. DOMS is your peripheral nervous system's warning sign and reading. It usually involves connective tissue at the end of your muscle fibers. So to me, lack of recovery means degrading performance. In other words, if you were squatting 60 kilos for 8 reps, you can't replicate it the next workout. That's lack of recovery. But as far as overall recovery goes, the best tips for recovery are going to be, DOMS, repeat bout effect, train again. Although, again, your initial workouts, so you're very early in it. This is not a workout you've been doing for 6 weeks already. So the issue is the novel training response. Your nervous system is going to respond different, and it's going to give pain warnings essentially from the novel training response. But if we're looking at overall recovery, I mean, look how I train and then look at my lifestyle. This should give some indications. Other coaches and people I know are like, your training is insane. Like how do you even recover from what you do? At your age, it's like this shouldn't happen. Lifestyle. Okay, top of the list, fatigue management, stress management. Number 1, sleep, nutrition, antioxidant status of your diet, protein intake. In other words, is your lifestyle geared towards reducing overall inflammation? Like the lower you can get your full body inflammation, the faster you'll recover from training. To the point where you can do what I do and rep out 230 kilograms on the deadlift every 48 hours and do cardio in between. So again, the idea, all those factors. So anything you can do to lower overall cortisol response after training, anything you can do to reduce oxidative stress will speed up recovery. So the antioxidant status of your diet. Do you eat junk? Do you eat inflammatory foods? But ultimately, stress management, fatigue management are near the top. Also, the way that we approach training. Make a note, how calm am I when I lift heavy weights? And this is something I learned when I was doing Bulgarian training. And I remember reading up on Matt Perryman was doing his doctoral work in this, who wrote the book Squat Every Day. He was doing this and he was noting that a high level of psychological arousal reduces recovery. It lengthens recovery time with identical workouts. So if you lift the exact same weight for the exact same number of reps, but you do it in a more calm state versus a high state of psychological arousal, it takes longer for your nervous system to recover. And when I started maxing on squats every day, so when I was messing with the squatting every day Bulgarian, where you max out on your squat every single day, 6 or 7 days a week, I learned very, very quickly that he was right. So again, take the idea and implement it in the real world, and yeah, absolute truth to it. And from that day forward, I keep the music more chill if I'm going to listen to music. In other words, we don't blast Slayer, don't take pre-workouts, don't scream, don't slap yourself. Calm, chill, collect, focused. Be mindful, be in the moment when you train. All right. So again, your state of psychological arousal matters. But yeah, that's a good question too, Psych. What's your training program look like? I think everyone knows mine. We squat, bench, and deadlift 3 days a week, plus whatever accessory work we're doing. And then I do GPP and or running in between on 3 of the other days. All right. But I mean, I can tell most people, I can get most people crazy jacked and strong on 5 lifts. Squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, chins. Good. Do general physical preparedness between. And a lot of my clients, like my busy clients, a lot of them only do 3 to 4 exercises per workout. So even on full body. So some of my more advanced ones, we alternate squats and deadlifts for them instead of both. I do everything in the same day, but I'm also um, I'm built different. So a lot of my people, we do 4 lifts and we rotate them, and then we do conditioning in between or after. And Peter Adia some T Nation deadlift squats. Well, you need a cohesive plan though. All right, you need a cohesive plan. One of my friends writes for T Nation. He's quoted me a few times in there. He writes good stuff. So I'm friends with Christian Thibodeau, and he writes for them. And yes, he throws my name in an article every now and then. Yeah, have a cohesive plan. But I agree, your programming should be built around squats and deadlifts. The only people who don't are bodybuilders. And notice what's ironic when they go that route of how hilarious it is. I'm like, really? How many Mr. Olympias? So they'll be like, well, bodybuilders. I'm like, but all these Mr. Olympias had squats and deadlifts that were really impressive. So generally, the reason they avoid these lifts is the side effects of the drugs, right? It's the same reason bodybuilders don't do intense cardio. I mean, their chest cavity is continually inflamed. Of course, they can't do high intensity cardio of any type. That's why they walk on the treadmill. A lot of them can't do the squats and deadlifts due to the low back pump of the heavy drug doses, the orals. You know, guys who don't understand, go pop 50 milligrams of Anavar and then try to do high rep squats or just high rep deadlifts 2 hours later. Let me know how that goes for you. You'll understand why bodybuilders often do all these machines. But yeah, no, squats and deadlifts should be everyone's foundation. Yeah, Dad. Keep in mind, I'm not a huge fan of Matt Callan. I'm very familiar with all of it. Like I've read Practical Programming. I used to have a copy somewhere. I don't have it anymore. I probably read Practical Programming 15 years ago. Same thing like Bill Starr's. Um, what was that book? Something for football, like getting strong for football, right? No, it's fine what she's doing. But we're talking real conversations. This is useful stuff for people who live, Dad. Spitting facts. So the problem with stuff like mad cows is again lack of quality sets. You're never going to see me endorse a system to where unless we are doing dynamic effort work for these lighter days to where you're like, okay, well, I can do 5 reps with 150 kg is a true limit set on one day, and then have another day where you come in and do 120 or 130 kilograms for sets of 5. That's not going to fly with me. To put it in scientific terms, you are training like a pussy if you do that. And to put it in scientific terms, we refer to this as training like a pussy. Like, why would you do that? You're doing sets of 5 with your 10 rep max. I'm not seeing the value here. And it's not even technique training because they're different lifts. A squat at 70% versus a squat at 90% are different exercises. They don't hit the same muscle fibers. They don't have the same technique. They do not have the same ratio of quad to glute or an abductor involvement rep for rep. They do not. They're not the same exercise at all. So they're not even comparable. So technique work at 70% has no carryover to your form at 90% in your technique. No, I don't like RPE at all. And I think it's an abused system. And I think if you're smart with it, you can. But here's the problem with RPE. It really has no place in rep work. It has no place in rep work. It really should only apply to singles, and then people abuse it. I will watch guys miss lifts. I will watch guys miss lifts and then call it RPE 8.5. I'm like, that was RPE 1,000. You failed the rep. You failed that lift. That was higher than RPE 10. That was more than your max. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, you didn't lock it out. You hitched on the deadlift, or you had up and down to the bar where you grinded and shifted to the side. That's a failed lift. That weight was heavier than your max. So this is the problem with it. And so if we're going to use the RPE system at all, we could simply replace it with reps and reserves. There should only be 3 RPE numbers. So if you were to take that scale, what's the only 3 numbers that should ever exist in your training? 9, 9.5, and 10. So when I see a coach who writes this, RPE 8 on a set, I'm like, what are you doing? I will give sets at 2 reps in reserve on exercises I'm concerned of someone getting hurt on. Like when I'm training someone to do good mornings, for example, I'll a lot of times have them do 2 reps in reserve, but generally 1 rep in reserve, 0 reps in reserve, failure, or how I program. And I create monsters doing this. Look at my clients, look at my drug-free clients, and then look at my enhanced clients. Then you're not following Mad Cow, Dad. So you've made a new program and you're calling it Mad Cow. Did you change anything? Because that's not how the program's written. So we need a context for these things. I call it Dad Cow. There we go, Dad. 2 in a row, Dad Cow. We call it the Dad Cow program. Oh man, I think you two are forming a romantic connection there. You're mind melding. I'm quite frankly disgusted by the idea, but it's all good, man. Their souls are intertwined. They're twin souls, right? If you're going to follow the whole hippie thing, we're going to do hippie fitness up in here. So I take organic acai berries post-workout, and I smoke some ganja to purify my body. That's hippie fitness. So I have different types of fitness out there. You got bougie fitness. Bougie fitness usually involves eating lots of organic foods and then packaged products, expensive products with a healthy label on them, healthy junk food. Bougie fitness. That's the people who buy the little shots of antioxidant juice. You got bougie fitness. I mean, in theory they're fine, but why don't you just eat rice? Why don't you just eat carbohydrate? And then everyone gets upset with me. I train fat. I don't even eat for a couple hours after I train. People be like, what? I train fasted. Like even if I finish a workout at 9 in the morning, I don't eat till noon. It's all good. Yes, I will train for 2 or 3 hours, including repping out 230 kilograms on the deadlifts. Sets of 10s on weighted chins after, and then wait a couple hours to eat. Oh, noes. This upsets people. For some reason, this really upsets people. I know other coaches, they're like, you can't do that. And I'm like, I'm stronger than you. I can outrun you and outlift you, and I'm 5 years older than you. Maybe you're wrong. Just saying. People have these strange ideas. They have these strange ideas about glycogen storage and human digestion. You know, they have very, very strange ideas on it. It's not a realistic view of the way human GI tract works. Dudes over here really thinking you've digested and absorbed everything you ate within 12 hours or something. Like that's not how it works. Right. I mean, even in terms of muscle protein synthesis, we all figured this out years ago. But I remember even my bro Alan. I've been friends with Alan Aragon like 20 years. We used to have an online group, so we still joke. We call it the Fat Cunt Crew. That was our little tag. FKK for life. I've been friends with Alan like 20 years. He was one of the people who really put out a lot of stuff debunking the whole post-workout nutrition, pointing out the flaws in the data. But realistically, even looking at that recent study on muscle protein synthesis from shakes, you know, where they found that post-workout 100 grams of whey protein, super fast absorbing, compared to 30 caused the same spike in muscle protein synthesis, but it remained for hours and hours and hours longer. It stayed elevated for like 8 hours. Mind you, this is fast absorbing. This is not, you know, some slow digesting protein. This was whey protein. So if you just take enough of it, muscle protein synthesis stayed up for 8 hours straight versus, you know, going up for 2 and dropping back down. And you start eating large amounts of protein from whole foods, even the protein timing gets, quite frankly, overhyped. And I think a lot of the stuff that goes on with the carb timing and peri-workout and everything with a lot of bodybuilders is because of all the insulin use. So again, we need a context for this, you know, when they're like, well, why does this pro bodybuilder? I'm like, well, because he injects insulin 5 times a day. You know, when you're injecting fast-acting insulin 5 times a day, carbohydrate timing gets pretty important. And particularly when we're combining it with stuff like growth hormone, it's going to affect insulin sensitivity. Well, you could eat before. I'd throw up. So my workouts get intense enough that I used to vomit, and I realized I was better off just fasting. And I found that I get better workouts with a clear head if I just train fasted. And then I have better dietary control if I just keep a feed window. Because for me, keeping in mind, I was 320 pounds when I got into exercise. I've put up before pictures. I was over 300 pounds as a non-lifter. You know, and I have binge eating issues tied to my own childhood trauma. So for me, there's no off switch. Like I can't open a container of ice cream and not eat the entire container irrespective of size. It's just not going to happen. Right? There is no, hey, put the gallon back in the freezer. You eat the whole gallon. Once the lid opens, you eat the whole thing. All 20,000 calories. So for me, I keep nothing but protein prepped and ready. The only thing I have ready to eat quick is protein. and I cook all my carbohydrates. Other than fruit, I mean, I have cantaloupes. I have like 7 cantaloupes in my fridge right now. But you got to slice those up. So for me, I prefer to keep everything in a feed window, and I train just fine. Like you guys have seen me do 5-mile runs completely fasted just fine on camera. I do 2-3 hour workouts completely fasted and put up elite numbers just fine. At 53 years old, 28% body fat, what would be your target for me to gain muscle in 6 months of your coaching? I don't really know what we mean by your target. We need to get that body fat down, though. I would recomp you, if not a small deficit, honestly, mainly because at 53, 28% body fat, is that off of a DEXA scan? This is not good for health. Like I would be like, look, I know you want to get bigger and stronger, but as a coach, I would tell you in your best interest of your health, we've got to get that number down. Now if you told me you didn't care, I would still respect your opinion, but as a coach, that would be the direction I would urge you in. Right? That's the direction I would push you in. Now, if you wanted to do otherwise, I would still respect that and coach you. But that's the direction I would go. Just for same thing with my guys who use anabolics. I try to reel it back in. Be like, look, I think you need to use half of what you're using. I can get you big on half that dose. Just stop. We don't need trend. Let's take the trend out. And then sometimes you're like, well, I want to stay on trend. It's like, okay, fine. Just be aware of the risk. So, but that would honestly be the direction I'd put you in. I would put you into a very small calorie deficit, but I don't know as far as any other targets. This is at consultation level. I would need full stats, sit down, talk to you for an hour, look at all your lifting numbers, figure out where you're at. Because that's nowhere near. So my client intake calls are an hour. So when a new client puts in an application, right? When a client puts in an application, it's usually up to a page long, half page to a page. They give me all the information. We set up a call, and I get in a video call with you for an hour on average. Sometimes longer, sometimes less, but 1 hour average just to go over this stuff so that I can start coaching you the next week. So we go through these. So you're asking a very vague, whereas I would sit down with you and I would want to know what all your work sets look like. I would want stats, training history, goals, assess your personality to even determine what coaching style of mine you need, and so on. So my coaching is pretty in depth. Like it is literally a 1 hour video call to even get you started. So do you see kind of an issue with a question of that nature? No, we get really, really detailed. I make a whole file on you. Like I take your application and I paste it into a document, and then I sit there and type and create an entire file on you with notes. Consultations versus applications are not the same. So client applications, to get into those calls, you write the applications, a $25 fee to weed out the trolls, right? 100% success rate. That's to start you as a client. Now, if you're wanting just consultation calls for 1 hour of my time, they're $100. In fact, I'm doing one later today. They're regular. I do about 3 a year with them. So people who are not looking to be clients, they just need a one-off set of help. They're $100 for 1 hour. Those are paid up front, and then we schedule them. So it depends on what we're looking at. But if you're looking to become a full-time client, the client intake calls are just $25 because we're assuming you're probably coming on as a client at that point. But that locks in my time and it gets rid of trolls, because then I don't have to worry about someone just putting in an application and then getting me into a call just to harass me or waste my time. It has 100% success rate, right? Because if someone just gets in and they turn out to be a troll, I could just turn the button off and block them. And I made $25 off of non-refundable, but it's never actually happened. I predict it will sooner or later. But thus far in 6 years, it hasn't happened of doing these sort of calls. There's no set amount, Rufia. I have clients who need almost nothing. I have clients who need 2 to 3 hours a month, right? And I have clients who need literally 20 minutes a month. And maybe their call. So like some of my really long time guys, like one of my guys right now, he's going into year 5. Fairly advanced lifter. He's in his 40s. He buys 6-month blocks. So for him, I just update his sheet every week. Every 8 to 12 weeks, maybe about every 8 to 10, 8 to 12, we get into a 1-hour video call. His sheets take me 10 minutes a week. And he just makes continual progress, year after year. Other people need way more intensive, and I have some who we don't do calls. I have some clients who we go 2 years without a video call. I literally just update their sheets, look at their lifts, and keep them in flow. So those clients are 20, 30 minutes a month. But I have others that need like 3 hours of my time, if not more per month. So it really varies. Like there's no set amount. It's what do I need for this client to make them work? Do I have to set up separate calls just to fix their form, like real time in the gym, and get them on their phone, setting it up and fix their bad form? Do we have other stuff we need to work on? Do we need to go through on mindset, so extra calls and things? So they're case by case. And keep in mind, different clients need different degrees of things. Some clients, they only need my programming, and they're good. I have other clients that need help with their drugs. I have other clients who need diet adherence, so on and so forth, right? So again, it very much varies. And a fair number of my over 40 guys are on TRT on top of that. I would say at least 50%, which I'm not counting as their drug because they're not blasting a bunch of stuff. But, and sometimes I need to look at that too, just to see their blood work. Double check everything. Like one of my guys on TRT, he was doing some stuff with his diet, and I had to talk to him about it. It's like, we were looking at his blood work, one of my long timers, and he got on this whole fat of the raw milk and all these healthy, and he was getting all this local source stuff, and his LDL went through the roof. And I'm like, your LDL went from 70 a year and a half ago, it's now 180. Like, and his doctor's like screaming, he wants to put him on Lipitor right now. I'm like, we got to talk about this. And he realized, yeah, this is a problem. So my LDL was beautiful back here, even on testosterone. And now it's up. And I'm like, dude, why did you buy into this go buy all this whole raw milk and all these local eggs? And, and I'm looking at his stuff, and it's like, man, he's eating huge amounts of saturated fat, And then his training was good, but his blood work looked horrific, And even his doctor was panicking. And it's like, let's just cut this stuff out. Why are you doing this again? Right. So that's the funny thing. Like, people would assume because I promote certain diet things that clients are all going to follow. They don't, man. I've had clients who went full carnivore on me. I'm like, why'd you do this? Well, I thought it would help with whatever condition I had. I'm like, come on, bro. Or they go full vegan. I had one of them who went full vegan and didn't tell me, well, I thought it would help with my one autoimmune issue. And I'm like, dude, look at your workouts. And you didn't tell me. And he did it because he thought it would improve his health. And I'm like, dude, you got weaker. Like, I'm programming everything perfect, and you are losing strength. Like your squat, your bench, your chin-ups, everything, they've all gone down. In 8 weeks, you have lost strength on every single exercise, But he didn't even tell me. He's like, well, I should tell you I went full plant-based. What do you mean? He's like, I haven't had any animal products in 8 weeks. And I'm like, every one of your lifts went down. Everything. Every single lift got weaker. but they'll do it and not tell you. Like, I went full vegan, coach, 8 weeks ago. I'm like, bitch, you lost 20 kilos on your squat. So, what do you do? Right. But that's pretty much how it works, AJ. So let me know. Hit me up on Facebook. Be sure you link the Facebook that's under my videos. People will go to my profile and I won't see it for a month. Like, they'll message me. I wanted to do a consultation the other day. It was set in there for 2 weeks. I don't see what goes to my spam filter. I check it maybe once a month and weed out all the crazy trolls and the people from the groups. And 100 messages down, someone wanted a consultation. I'm like, why didn't they just message my fitness page where I link under everything? It's just funny. My profile, I have a filter to where you can't message me if you're not on my friends list. I won't see it. So it's just funny. So go there, AJ. Yeah, so if you're interested, hit me up. But yeah, no, clients will do crazy stuff with their diet on their own. And you would think anyone who follows Blaha wouldn't jump into one of those. But they'll do it, dude. Your clients will go full carnivore or vegan without even telling you. Yeah. What do you do? And before someone says, oh, they're just stupid, no, the ones who did that all had advanced degrees. So those perfect examples. I had a guy who went full carnivore on me. I had another one who did the full vegan. They both have IT jobs. They both have computer science or programming degrees. So they're not dumb. In fact, the one who went full vegan for my Australians, he works for the Department of Defense as a programmer in Australia. He went full vegan on me. Like, are you serious, dude? Why? I'll be right back, guys. I'm gonna get coffee, clear my sinuses. All right, we're back. So I don't know why that is either. For me as a coach, I get a lot of clients in jobs like that. It is really hilarious because you would think, given some of the history, I wouldn't. But so I had a client who was an FBI field agent, and I coached him for powerlifting meets, and we kept it completely private, right? And we laugh at that. He goes, yeah. He goes, I know you have clients in these other jobs. He's like, we have a file for it because I communicate with people in different countries who have those type of jobs as clients. And they obviously see it. They see people transferring money to me who have those sort of jobs. So it's like they're fully aware. It's like, you guys can't deal with all my stalkers, but you know that I have clients who are in the Department of Defense in another country who send me PayPals. Or if they're military in another country. So I've had a guy who was in the IDF in Israel as a client at the time. I've had 2 FBI agents as clients so far. I've had an active duty ranger. Yeah, so I get these sort of clients. I've had a Department of Defense in the U.S. as a client. So, I get these. I don't know why. I have no idea why. I have no idea why I get these sort of clients, but I get them. Yep. Take care, Dad. I'm a tech guy. A lot of us, 28%. I know. That's very AJ. I get a lot of tech guys. Have a good night, Dad. To be fair, I get a lot of tech guys. I tend to historically, early on, it's shifted over the years, but I would say, man, the earlier years of doing the online, like public, I've always coached, but doing it as my official public business, main business, or my early on, I got a lot of programming IT guys, a lot of them. It's fairly normal. But you're right, a lot of tech guys, it's common, but it's fixable. AJ, it can be fixed. You got there. Sorry, sharing some of my posts. Hold on, I got to make some other posts real quick, and I'll get back to you guys. Got to make that other social media money whilst we are streaming, y'all. So yeah. No, it happens, AJ. We're used to it. We know it. But I fix guys in those situations. Usually, a lot of the problems I have. So I'm going to assume outside of your training, you're not active. So if you were to come to me already, you tell me you're trying to train, you're at this level, you gave me your age, your body fat, I know what you do for a living. I already know what sort of problems I'm going to have that I'm going to have to fix. Like, assuming this is your real, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Assume you're being 100% with me. I'll just give you the benefit of the doubt. See no reason to do otherwise. Assuming you're being serious with all this, I already know as a coach what problems you're going to have that I'm going to spend 3 to 6 months fixing, because it's I already know enough about you. I already know you have tight, weak hamstrings. I already know. Like, I know this. I'm going to have to fix it. And so, all right. I already know you have a weak upper back. Because of the amount of time you spend at the desk doing this, sitting down. So it's all fixable, though. It's all fixable. Good morning, Coach. Hope you're well. I'm doing good, man. We're waking up. We're an hour into this. It's been a little slow. Actually, a lot of people, they're just low views, but there's been a lot of engagement. Had quite a few different conversations. It's been mostly training, though, fortunately. So that's a good thing. So how about you, David? You good, man? Speaking of things, I had a guy who put in an application and paid for it and has still not set up his call. Like he sent me the $25 and I've been waiting 6-7 weeks for him to even get an appointment. And he just ignored it. He sent me the money and still has not got back to me for his application. Those are funny. I get those for that where I put that little 25 up just to get rid of trolls and time wasters. They put in an application, they pay for it. Did they just ghost? That's so weird. Do you focus on anything in particular with rugby clients? Yeah, I got to make sure your neck is strong. My concern with rugby clients is generally going to be taking hits. So yeah, there are things I'm going to very specifically address. I need my rugby clients to not get concussions. Not too bad. I got to work today. I'll get from work. Free money sounds good. Right. I mean, so here's the funny thing. So when my coaching business was at its highest and I had a continual just turnover and wait list sometimes even, 3 years ago when the coaching was making six figures by itself. And yes, I could prove that if I had to. So I would have people who paid me the 25, right? We did the call. They paid for their first month of coaching and they ghosted me a week later, 2 weeks later. And I'm like, I got the 250 for the first month of coaching, got the 25. I invested 1 hour in a video call, 30 minutes setting up their program, and made $275 for an hour and a half of work, and they just disappeared. I have probably had 12, 14, 15 of those over the years. It's just so strange. Morning, Lars. Callum, haven't had a concussion yet. Plenty of impact damage to limbs, though. So this is the stuff that we think about. So if you were to come on, say as a rugby guy, needing coaching, we would be addressing a lot of that stuff. Like the main thing I'm concerned with for them, yeah, obviously we want to get big and strong, but I'm concerned with being able to take hits. Becomes quite a big deal. So the same thing, I'm worried about your knees. All right. I'm usually worried about knee. I'm worried about your elbows. I'm worried about that neck. So my rugby guys are going to do upper back work. We're probably going to do neck work. This is definitely a demographic where we are 100% going to do neck training. This is no longer optional because whatever minor concerns we have of sleep apnea at that point, take a back seat to the risk of concussions or traumatic brain injury from being in a contact sport. Like this is priority, right? The same thing, rugby guys, man. I'm worried about ACL tears and stuff. All right. Same group, we're going to work on extra forearm or grip work. Why? I don't want those wrists getting hurt. I don't want those elbows getting hurt. I don't want knees getting hurt. All right. And we don't want any of that. All right. I need just a real quick break, guys. Be right back. I will be right back. There's only 2 people viewing. What? That's weird. think it's a bug. Well, it might be. One of the views picked back up. All right, we're back, guys. Okay. Might be a bug view count. I enjoy watching rugby and not playing. Remember playing at school and someone trod on my shin. Very painful. Prefer soccer. Right. We just had a cheekbone fracture and an MCL tear. Yeah. All right. Cheekbone. There's nothing I can do as a coach to prevent that. Let's just be fair. All right. I was planning to come back, come on as a client after Christmas when I get my list back to where they were, financially permitting. Yeah, that's cool. Callum, hit me up, dude. Depeche Mode versus The Cure. I'm going to go with Depeche Mode. Yeah. Our age is showing here, Lars, by the way. Both of our ages. I think Depeche Mode's better music. Me personally. I mean, this is just opinion. Feel free to disagree. All right. Feel free to disagree. All right. I know, good answer, right? Solon, good morning. Good morning to you, Solon. Right, always things to do, people to see. Have a good day, everyone. Take care, Callum. Yeah, hit me up after Christmas, man. If you're ready to come on, all good, brother. All good. Because, Lars, we all know we've made sweet love into a woman with Depeche Mode playing at one time or another in the background. Right. Just go on ahead and admit it, Lars. You already know. Very true. You know that's a good point. What topics? Man, we've rotated a bunch of topics. We had a whole conversation about training recovery when Sight got in. She was asking some stuff. Man, we've talked about stuff for rugby, contact sports. So I'll let you guys pick. We're just rotating topics. Coffee chats, man, we change topics continually. Just whatever we're talking about. I get a lot of regulars in here. This coffee chat, we're an hour and 9 minutes. I'm making other posts and typing to people in between. Any benefits using an axle bar for overhead press from time to time? Yeah. So Lars, with the axle bar, some people find it to be a smoother range of motion. A lot of people find it's a more comfortable movement with the axle bar. Okay. Your center of gravity is going to change a little bit. Also, it's going to be a different grip, right? The grip is completely different. But for a lot of people, they get a better center of gravity with it once they kind of figure their grip out. And so it seems to give a more comfortable shoulder position for some people. Right. I like the axle bar for overhead pressing historically some. I've done it some in the past, especially if you're going to go a little wider. So if you're wanting to do a wider grip, I personally find it's actually more comfortable. So you have both. You find the axle bar to be less painful. So you literally, yeah, I think that the view count's bug too, Jill. You're literally experiencing what I just said, Lars. So you know firsthand that, yep, coach is right. That's not an uncommon experience, right? It's more comfortable on some people's shoulders. And I think it really has to do with the way the center of gravity is when you grip it sometimes. I think for some people, it's just a more natural movement in center of gravity. So you get your home gym reviewed by Kate. I've heard of the garage gym. I don't know. Some people could submit it if they wanted to. I don't know if he'll cover it or not. Someone could send it to him. I feel like I got a pretty good garage gym, right? I got 14 barbells. I have 200 pounds of chains. I got hundreds of pounds of bands. I have a pretty much full band set. Some of the bands I have 3 or 4 sets of the smaller ones. I got a reverse hyper. I got a glute ham raise. I got a belt squat. I have my own separate competition bench. I got a deadlift platform. You know, I think in terms of home gyms, I bet you I'm in that top 1% to 2%. I'm not saying there aren't better, because you can be in the top 1% and someone else is going to way outdo you. I feel like I have a pretty dang solid home gym. You know, plus dipping bars. I have 3 different he might not even realize what all I have. Right? Even like the Titan loadable dumbbells, I have a pair of all 3 sizes. I'm thinking of using those big ones to do farmer's walks. Right? I think I'm going to use those because I have the big, like a long pair. I have a pair of those. I might start doing some farmer's walks with those instead of those handles. You know? Yeah, buddy. I'm thinking about it. Plus, it'll be easier to get over there because I can just grab each one by the ends and walk them over, set them down to my filming spot. I really think that's what I'm going to do. Now that I think about it. You know? All right. I could use some other sizes of med balls, though. I might put some of those in the wish list. Maybe people will buy them. You never know. I have a safety bar. Really like it for good morning single leg setbacks. I think it would be good for a lot of single leg stuff. I think safety squat bars are fantastic for single leg exercises, Lars. Right? I think that's a great use. Good mornings, I have a love-hate with them on good mornings. It's obviously you've seen me do pretty heavy good mornings with them. Like I've done up to about 190 kg for a max. But I have a love-hate relationship with that bar for good mornings. It's just so hard on your upper back. Good morning, coach. I mean, it's effective, but I almost feel like we lose a little bit of the posterior chain stimulus just due to that T-spine involvement sometimes. But it works, absolutely works. So I think the last time I was doing them even with it, I was earlier this year, maybe January, February. I'm pretty sure I was doing around maybe 110, 120 kilos for 12 reps for the good mornings with that bar. But I'm so much stronger with the camber bar really feels like king for good mornings. I'll be right back, guys. I'm having a quick conversation here. All right, so back over. Good morning. That's crazy number. Yep. How many cup refills? A lot. Like, dude, I drink a whole giant pot. We drink a whole pot in the morning. You get nervous? I can drink caffeine. No, I'm fine. But I've been drinking coffee since I was like 12. No, I do fine. I can have a giant cup of coffee and go right back to sleep. Yep, just how it is. It's just how it is. Hmm. I've stopped buying coffee from coffee shops now. Now it's over $4 now for one drink. Wow, bro. So 4 pounds, like you could almost eat a bodybuilder diet for 4 pounds a day where I live, like straight up. Just because I buy so much fruit and vegetables, my food tends to be a little more, but it's because of all the fruits and vegetables. Like my chicken and brown rice and stuff is pennies. You know, it's pennies. It's the fact that I eat a cantaloupe every day. I eat all those peppers. All that stuff starts adding up. You know, yeah. I think people forget that too when you have clients who are like they just want to get in really good shape and you put them on bro type diets. You're like, wow, my food bill dropped to nothing and I stay full all the time. Like Ryan does, that client Ryan. He's down. He's almost at 100 pounds of weight loss, right? Like benching 315. We got his strength up, but he's just like, dude, my food bill is so low because he like lives on chicken, rice, and potatoes. He's lost. He's lost almost 100 pounds doing that and gotten stronger. You know, it's like it's so cheap. So his food bill, yeah, is probably 4 pounds a day, right? Probably 4 pounds. Yeah. Yeah. So what else you guys got going? Um, yeah, no, dude, absolutely, dude. Right? Like you can buy good coffees for way less. Like I get pretty good coffee. I've been happy with that Pete's coffee. It's not even that expensive, and it tastes great. Like I bought a couple of the bigger bags last time. Yeah, coffee shop stuff. This stuff adds up, man. It adds up. And then they just add a bunch of junk to it too. No. But I mean, I get it if you're on the go or whatever. Some supermarkets in the UK, the coffee is put in a small cage to stop people from stealing it. Wow. 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 Oh Lord. Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. I might wind this one down. I'll try to do a longer one at lunch. I'll do a long one this afternoon, but this is just kind of slow. Not much happening. So I may shut this down, work on some other posts. So I'll catch you guys later. All right, take care, guys. We out.